Yep, I think we're good. Good evening, everybody. Good evening and welcome to another weekly. I'm going to say weekly. At this point in time, it's bi-weekly. We're trying to do weekly, but bi-weekly is currently what we're doing. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. We're going to do some relaxing, chilling, and updating and all this kind of stuff. I hope everyone is good. Let's see what we've got with us today. We've got quite a few people, I noticed. I was screwing through the chat and I was like, oh, we've got quite a few people. Svu, welcome. Good to have you with us. K-Shits, King Queenie, North Wind Week, and Still Alive. First chatter. Very welcome to have you here. Very welcome to have you here. Very good to have you here, and welcome. There we go. Nice to have some new readers. Yes, Cyprus is an island that is near Turkey and is debating the pros and cons of getting into the political situation of Cyprus on a stream. Nah, can't be asked. We need to do some relaxing today. That is just too much. Hang on, let's see if I can... Where's my... Why can I not... There we go. You've been reading for years, and you just recently joined the Discord. Well, good to have you on the Discord then, Still Alive. Yeah. Yeah. Dodging Prison and Stealing Witches has been around for a long time. Absolutely, yeah, it has. And I am, as Svu said, beavering away in the background, getting some stuff done. Some of you, probably actually most of you on this call, are aware that I am currently working with Novel Crafter, which is a writing platform that is quite new and has been dubbed the Photoshop of writing. Whether or not it actually remains to be seen. But I've seen I've been playing with it now, and yeah, I'm very impressed so far. I'm currently porting all of Dodging Prison and Stealing Witches into Novel Crafter, along with every single one of my original works that I've been able to get my hands on, and that has got at least a good amount of work involved in it. So the original Richard Struggle book is in there, the Creaky Lid book. So is Trial by Conquest, as is a bunch of the other works that we've worked on together over the years, and a whole bunch of new ones as well. And I'm getting all of them in there. I am going through the process of getting all the scenes summarized. For anybody who's got like a really long series, one of Novel Crafter's most valuable tools, I think, is its AI-generated summaries that you can create of scenes in the sidebar, and you just click a button and it just generates a summary. Reading through that for Dodging Prison and Stealing Witches as I'm going through each book is so incredibly valuable. You've no idea. It's really good. I want to give a demo one day. I mean, maybe. You're talking about Novel Crafter, right? Yeah, maybe. How does it compare to Scrivener? I would say it's more useful. Like, Scrivener is good. Scrivener, okay, so the main benefit that Scrivener has over Novel Crafter is that you can press a button on Scrivener and get an EPUB out that you can then put on Kindle, right? That's the main benefit that Scrivener has. I've still got my Scrivener license, so in theory, when I'm ready for publication, I could do that. Although, in practice, I'm probably going to use Affinity Publisher to do that, and do it all manually so that I can get it exactly how I want it. Yeah. But I would say that overall, in terms of the usefulness of the complete package of features, I would say Novel Crafter beats it out of the water. It's so good. And by far the most useful feature that Novel Crafter has, again, welcome to the world of AI. No pros, instead. Just to be clear, you know, I do not write any of my prose with AI. I did one experiment with that about a year and a half ago. And I wasn't happy with the outcome, and I'm like, yep, not doing that again. The best feature that Novel Crafter has, which I'm really finding incredibly useful, is that you can selectively load parts of your book, your outline, which you can also do in Novel Crafter as well. And it's got a very, very nice outlining tool that is broken up into series, books, acts, chapters, and scenes, right? So it's very comprehensive, its outlining feature. You can take any part of or any combination of your outline, and you can put it into the context of a discussion with an AI. You can also do this for chapters, scenes, acts, books, and series. Although doing it with a series is, cautious with that, because it can get expensive very quickly. And you can do it for anything in your codex, and your codex is kind of like a wiki of the lore of the book and you're working on the series. So characters, locations, lore, all that good stuff. And you can just selectively say, okay, I want the AI to have context for this, and this, and then you load it into the context. You can have a discussion with the AI. It is it's very quick. And so from a brainstorming point of view, from a I just need someone to bounce ideas off of point of view, it's invaluable. It's really good. And another thing you can do with it, which I haven't yet gotten down to brass tacks or made full use of this particular feature yet, but I have wanted this feature in a good writing piece of software for years and years and years, which is the ability to tag chunks of writing. So the ability to tag your scenes, your chapters, your books, etc., 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 and then be able to see all of the content that is tagged in one long piece of continuous prose. Right. So for example, you can go through a chapter or a scene and get the AI to auto recognize all the characters that are in that scene. Like press a button, the AI will go through it and say, okay, here are all the characters from your codex that I recognize that are in this scene, and then it'll add tags for that and then it'll tag them all and attach those tags to that scene. If it detects a character that you don't have in your codex, then it'll suggest that you make one, which is really nice, and that makes that very easy. And if you click on a tag, then you can see all of the entries or all of the scenes that contain that tag, which means that if you want to say, for example, just you finished your book, right, and you want to review all of the content about one particular character. So you've got a character called, I don't know, Harry, to take a very random example, right? And you want to say, okay, I've got this character called Harry, and I want to know I want to see whether or not his arc lines up well. You just click on the Harry tag, suddenly you can read all of his stuff as though it were a separate book. And so you can just go through all the little chunks of your story that contain that particular character and just figure out, does it all work together? Does it all flow nicely? And you can do that with every single tag and just go, and I'm just like, mwah, thank you. I just love that so much. Yeah, I find it very difficult to read Dodging Prison and Stealing Witches. Not because I don't enjoy it, because every time I do read something on Dodging Prison and Stealing Witches, my basic reaction is always, wow, this is actually not that bad. I wish the author would write more of this. But it's just so long, right? Dodging Prison, it's just such a long series. And so being able to read the summaries that the AI generates for a particular scene or a particular chapter is it's very useful to be able to remind myself, even just like the basic structure, like what exactly was the structure of this thing that I started writing, God, nearly 10 years ago now. How do I pronounce my online name? Still alive. My online name is pronounced LeadVonE, as in the verb to lead. Try Gemini Notebook LM again. Good new features, especially for overall view. Yeah, maybe. I'm finding that Novel Crafter is probably... I mean, I don't know. I haven't checked out what new features Notebook LM has, but I'll probably be sticking with Novel Crafter. Simply because, well, for a number of reasons, but one of the ones is that Novel Crafter is bring your own key. Right, so I can use whichever model I want. I'm not limited to just Gemini. Although, having said that, I have found that I am in those times where I'm choosing an LLM these days. I do tend to switch either between Gemini or Grok. for the various different stuff that I'm working on. I do use ChatGPT for image generation though. When I need an image and for a brainstorming or I'm working off of something or whatever it is, ChatGPT's image generation is really good. So yeah, I do tend to use that. Although obviously I'm not currently subscribed to the pro version of ChatGPT, so the number of images that I can get from ChatGPT is extremely limited. Before it tells me no, come back again in 8 hours. But that's like fine. John R. Sully. So you want an... Oh, hang on. Sorry. There we go. So you want an index tool that compiles and categorizes your work in real time. Yeah, really. That would be the perfect thing. And I think that Novel Crafter is going to move towards that. I suspect that's where they're going to go. At the moment, you have to create your own codex entries for your wiki. And then in the actual prose of your story, it links to the wiki. So, for example, if you type a character's name in your book, then it highlights and you can hover over it and you get your codex entry there, which is also very useful. But yeah, having a system having a system that was smart enough to also generate codex entries as you go, that would be very cool. Although, having said that, with a lot of my works, I'm currently in the outlining and planning and plotting phase as much as the writing phase. And being able to go into the codex and just manually write stuff is probably preferable, actually. Yeah. Is this character story feature based on AI? No, it's based on tags. So the AI features that are relevant to that feature are that there's a button you can click next to a scene, and it will also detect characters that are in the scene and then connect them up with your codex. That's based on AI, but that's not necessary for the tagging feature. The tagging feature is just basically means that you can tag scenes or chapters with tags, and then you can just view all of the content that is tagged in one continuous go, which makes reviewing plot threads and character arcs and the way in which you introduce a concept to the reader or the evolution of a location over the course of a story, it makes reviewing, tracking and editing that incredibly easy. And so I like that. I did that when I was writing the Richard Struggle book, and that was 10 years ago. I think I spent like 3 days when I was writing the Richard Struggle book manually tagging everything and manually creating like views so that I could just read different characters' character arcs in like single goes. Yeah, a lot of people think it's pronounced lead. It's just one of those things. When I came up with the name, I didn't think that I was going to be I didn't think that it was going to be a thing where I would be talking, where people would be using it to actually speak. Yeah, I can't even remember what the context was that I came up with the name actually. I mean, I know what it means obviously, but I can't remember exactly when I first came up with it. Notebook LM is mostly back and forth questions answer and for sensible, seeable and dynamic mind map. Yeah. Oh, it might be useful. Currently, I am... So right now, I am going through I'm going through Novel Crafter, and I'm porting in all of my works. I think I've got like 13 books in there, including the 4 books from Dodging Prison and Stealing Witches. I'm nearly done with porting through book 2 from Dodging Prison and Stealing Witches. I think it takes like I think it has taken me about 5 hours to get to where I am in the porting over of Dodging Prison and Stealing Witches book 2. So it's not that long, but at the same time it's kind of tedious work. Book 3 is going to be an absolute. Well, I don't want to call it a nightmare, but it's just a long book, right? Book 3. Book 3 is a long one. It does occur to me going back and reading through book 2 that you probably could have broken it up into 2 separate books. Because book 2 is like 225,000 words or something. I'm not sure. But you could probably break book 2 up into 2 parts with Christmas being the dividing point. Because obviously at Christmas in book 2 is when you get the 3 bonus chapters where we see what is happening from other characters' point of view. So we have Ginny's training in Dreamland. We have the 2 Alexandra Black chapters, and then we get the Claire chapter, right? So there's actually 4 bonus chapters technically, and those are kind of similar to the bonus chapters that you got at the end of book 1, right? With Alexandra's birthday party and Hermione goes shopping in Diagon Alley. So that's kind of like a natural cutoff point for a book. And book 3's got. I think book 3 is like 4 or 5 books. Is it a manual process? Unfortunately, it is, Svu. Unfortunately, it is. Because the Novel Crafter does have an input feature, but its input feature assumes that when you wrote the book, or when you did the work in something like Google Docs or in Microsoft Word, that you were using headers. And that you were using headers to divide out the chapters and the arcs and the scenes and stuff. And yeah, my master document of Dodging Prisoner Stealing Witches doesn't have that. So yeah, I'm doing it all manually. Okay. What are we doing here? Purchase a broom enhancement from Abel Weeks. Can I go there? Yeah, okay. How do I... There we go. I did finish porting in all of Trial by Conquest. And I'm looking at Trial by Conquest and I'm thinking, you know what, I should probably just finish that book. Because Trial by Conquest is like 55,000 words at this point. That includes the stuff that's not publicly available because it's on the Patreon.
Nice to see you again.
Broom upgrades. 1,000 gold. We've got 1,500 gold. I mean, I could do that. Hang on, let me just check. Didn't we need
Thanks for stopping by. Hope to see you again.
Didn't we need ingredients or something? Our head is too finicky to do a search and replace through the entire document. Yeah, they are. Yeah, unfortunately they are. Especially because it's not just... You know what, Queenie? You could actually do a search and replace. Well, not a search and replace, but you probably could do a search for the scene breaks. Because the scene breaks are exactly the same thing every time, right? It's DPASW and then the hyphen and then... Or then the colon and then the name of the book, right? So I could actually do that for scene breaks, but chapter breaks, unfortunately not. I'm also taking the opportunity to strip out the author notes and various other things from it. Not because I don't think they're valuable, but just because I don't really need them in the context when I'm having the AI. When I'm talking with the AI, I don't really want the AI to pull in the context from author notes. So I'm stripping out the author notes while I do this as well. Still alive. Quick question. Why don't I update DPSW on AO3 anymore? I want to give the people who are not... I want to give the people who are... How do I put this? I want to give the people who are reading in the public sphere a chunked reading experience. I'm not sure if I'm going to explain this very well. I would prefer if the people who are reading publicly and who aren't like in the private, like either you're on the DPASW website or you're on the Discord or you're on the Patreon, I'd prefer the public to get like a whole book's worth all at once. so that I can just say, okay, here is like 25 chapters released once a week or something like that. I prefer that the public chapters get that, because a lot of the sort of momentum and a lot of the sort of reader experience, especially for new people, because when new people first encounter Dodging Prison and Stealing Witches, they're going to come in through those public spheres, right? So giving those people a consistent over time experience, I figured would be better for me and them and the community and just everybody. So that's why I haven't been updating AO3, because we just don't have a full book yet to publish. And once we've got a full book to publish, then we're going to publish it. That was my thinking on that. Yeah. Is everybody on this chat currently up to speed with public releases? I just want to check that before I start. Actually, I can't even remember what's a public release. Where is the public release up to, Svu? I think that the scene breaks in my master document are all the same, K-Shits, because I think my master document, I grabbed it from the Dodging Prison and Stealing Witches website, or somebody had like a download of somebody had like a complete up to date with all corrections done download of the of the complete like text of Dodging Prison and Stealing Witches. I think I downloaded that, and that became my master document. Okay, so the public. Okay, so public for AO3 is on chapter 69. Nice, and public on dpasw.com is chapter 90. Okay, that is quite a discrepancy. That's quite a large amount of stuff that isn't public yet. Huh. Maybe I've got. Hang on. I think I might have two like levels of public running. That's right, isn't it? Because we've got public on dpasw.com, and then we've got private on the Patreon. And in my mind, I'm thinking, let's break it up so that we have two like big releases. You know, so that people from the public they want to come over to Dodging Prison and Stealing Witches, which is my preferred platform that I would prefer people read on, obviously. And then after you finish that, then there's another chunk ready and waiting for people on the Patreon. You know, yeah, that would be. Oh, hang on, is this a? Hang on, how do we?
Protego.
How do we? Yes, exactly, Svu. Exactly. Got it in one. Yeah, I can't remember the method. It's been so long. We haven't played for like a month. Oh dear. Patreon. Oh, Patreon's on chapter 99. Okay. So we are 9 chapters ahead on the Patreon. Okay. I'll figure it out. Oh, hang on. I remember. I got it. I remember. Da-da-da. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, let's just go to the quests and see what we've got to do. See if we can actually get something done here, or I just won't be talking into my microphone. Okay, so we've got the Helm of Orkalot. Oh shit, that's right. We've also got. I saw on the Discord asking for it. Yeah, I saw on the Discord that we've got a new piece of fan fiction. I wanted to read that. Also, I can't see who wrote it because I'm currently spoiled out on. Sorry, I've currently got streamer mode on the Discord. But was it Vlad? Was it Vlad who posted the fan fiction? Oops. Hang on. Yes, it was Vlad's. Okay, sweet. Hang on, I just want to read this. I'm going to read this. Forgive me for a second. I'm just gonna. It's not really that long, so just give me a second. I want to read this, okay? Oh, hang on. Still alive. Just before we start, hang on. I heard this on a different stream, but would you rather give up cheese or chocolate for the rest of your life? Ooh. I think I'd prefer to give up cheese. I really like both cheese and chocolate, but I just... Chocolate is one of those things that I'm just like... On the other hand, it's probably better for me if I gave up chocolate and kept cheese. So, unsure. Oh, hang on, Cassius. What do we got here? Sorry. Interesting. And this mind map was created just by the AI, just going through it again and again, Cassius. That is pretty cool. That is very cool, Cassius. I'll investigate that a little bit later. I'm not sure how I might integrate that into Novel Crafter, because I definitely do want to use Novel Crafter. But if it can iterate over the story and create codex entries automatically by putting it all in there and then just having it iterate over and over again and build out that mind map, then that might have worth. That might have value. I have to think about that. Another feature, incidentally, that Novel Crafter has, which I have not really made much use of yet, but which I'm very excited about, is the ability for codex entries to be time gated, or to be, I don't know how to put it, canon gated. So you can have a codex entry that updates with information from the story as the story develops. So basically what this means is that when the AI pulls in a codex entry, it will only be given the information from the codex that is current to the part of the story where the character that the AI is talking about. So for example, if you are talking with the AI about scene 54, for example, and in scene 55, character B gets a scar down their face, then in scene 55, you can add a little note at the bottom and say, add this to the codex entry for this particular character. They now have a scar down their face. When you discuss with the AI scene 54, the AI doesn't see that note that was written that happens in chapter 50, that happens in scene 55, which means that the AI doesn't get that context, which means that the AI is current for that particular character, for that particular codex entry, for the part of the story that it's discussing with you. That's very cool. So your character can evolve over the course of the story. What the AI knows about your character can evolve over the course of the story. And you can talk to it, the AI, at any point in the story, and its knowledge will be current, which is very cool. I'm not sure how I would integrate that feature with this mind map thing from the LLM notebook, but that doesn't mean that the LLM notebook has no value. It looks like it can create. It looks like it might have the potential to create codex entries automatically, in a way that for dodging prison and stealing witches, at least, I would not really be able to do. Like I wasn't planning to create codex entries for everything in dodging prison and stealing witches, even as I'm porting everything over, simply because it would take way too long. It's just too much stuff. But if something like Notebook LM could automate a lot of the process, then maybe I might create codex entries for it. I'll have to think. Yeah. Right. Vlad. Here we go. Incidentally, just in case, I don't know if Vlad is watching this right now, but I'm going to assume that you have my permission to read this because you posted it in a public Discord. So, can I share exactly what I'm looking for? I don't know what I'm looking for, K-Shit. Characters, although, yeah, probably character summaries, spell descriptions and usages. Spells are a big one, because spells are one of those things that I don't have an encyclopedic memory of, but it's important to know which ones you have available, which characters know, and all of the guff around like spells like that. Spells are one of those things that it's very difficult to keep track in a 800,000 word book or series. You know, who knows what the incantations are, what exactly their effects are, like their nuances of how they interact with different things in different ways. Like, I'd completely forgotten, for example, that until I did the read through of the summaries in the last week, that the invisibility cloak curves spells around it. I'd completely forgotten that the invisibility cloak curves spells around it. Yeah. Might be possible to outsource like the olden days. Maybe. So yeah, characters, spells, plot threads. Plot threads is a big one. Plot threads is absolutely a big one. Yeah, just having an encyclopedia of all the plot threads that are currently open, that would be very cool. Because, as many people have pointed out, who've read Dodging Prison and Stealing Witches, you got a lot of plot threads there. How do you keep track of them all? Well, the answer is as I slow down my writing. And I don't write as much because keeping track of them all is very hard. This is the answer to that. Yeah. Okay. Let me just take a drink. Sybil Trelawney is not forgotten. I've mentioned Sybil Trelawney. I'm pretty sure I have. I mean, she may not be named, but I'm pretty confident she's in the book. And I'm pretty confident that her appearance in the book is not something that is obtuse. Like, I'm pretty confident that the reader could guess what was going on. Yeah. Okay, here we go. The room buzzed with an undercurrent of nervous energy. Optimistic, yes, despite some dodgy moments. Optimistic, yes. Despite some dodgy moments, the Wizengamot weekend had been a success beyond any reasonable expectation. And now, Hermione looked around the room, at Daphne and Luna, Alex and Ginny. Harry had summoned them here. Not in Harry's admittedly very nice trunk, but here, his study at Slytherin Hall, where the fates of nations would one day be hammered out. The first council in this place. And she, and the other girls, were it. Good prose, Vlads. Good prose. Yeah, I approve. It's good stuff. It's good prose. You missed one comma up there in the first paragraph. Daphne stood. What conversation had been ebbing and flowing came to a halt. She raised the wand of yew and thestral, precisely as Harry walked into the room and handed it to him. With graceful precision, as if she'd practiced the movement 1,000 times. Thanks, Daph, Harry replied. The other girl curtsied, her cheeks going very pink, and then returned to her seat. Good morning, girls, Harry said, a grin making its home on his face as he did so. I've got some very exciting news today. Lockhart confirmed that we'll have a draft ready in 2 weeks, and we'll be going to the presses in 6. So... He paused and tapped his wand towards the wall. The blackboard that had been standing against it rolled forward with the enthusiasm usually reserved for pet dogs, stopping beside Harry and then spinning itself over. On the board were 5 words. Ah, what do I believe in? Yeah, I bet no one forgot about that, did they? Well, apparently, yeah. Yep. So this particular scene is going to try and address that. Interesting. I'm very curious as to where Vlad's goes with this. You fell for the trap. Did I now? We'll see. Let's see what. I mean, yeah, like I said, I'm very interested to see where Vlad goes with this. Hermione leaned forward. The other girls followed. The Grey has been a power broker between the two major factions up till now, but after last weekend, we are the power. And with that new position, we need a platform that is aspirational and proactive. Harry frowned a little. Extremely proactive, as a matter of fact. God. You've really... Sorry, there's something about this that feels very much like my own writing. It's like the cadence and like the way words are put together feels very LeadVonE. I'm not going to lie. Harry frowned a little. Extremely proactive, as a matter of fact. He nodded at Daphne. Assuming Voldemort is able to move his schedule up as we ourselves are doing, we need to tear at least a third of the dark and a third of the light into our camp by the end of my 3rd year. In the long term, we need at least a third more of both camps to be satisfied enough with our vision that they won't too openly and passionately contest it. Harry paused again. I owe all of you so much, and your counsel has meant more to me than I can easily say. Hermione felt her cheeks heat up too. I'm going to propose a plan within a plan, something that all of Magical Britain can follow and aspire to, and that will help us as well. Best. Are we going to Antarctica? Ginny asked, raising her hand. Harry shook his head. No, we are going to thread the needle between Luna and Hermione's pros and cons, and focus on... Pardon me. Better now have another drink. No, we're going to thread the needle between Luna and Hermione's pros and cons, and focus on making Garcet, our home, a fortress, for whatever the future holds. But the crux of the plan belongs to Alex. Alex jumped at that, looking suitably shocked. Her face betrayed her lack of any idea as to what Harry meant by that. He smiled. The Grey in general, and myself in particular, are going to use the book release to put forward a new vision for Britain, centred on family magic and house rights. He gestured between Alex and herself. Basically, we're going to very publicly advocate for a system that advocates wizarding tradition as the anchor of our society, but a liberalisation of meritocracy for wizards and witches who accept those conditions. We will help Muggleborns and newer non-noble families establish their houses and begin working towards family magics, but on the expectation that they become fully part of our culture. This won't be universally supported, Hermione said slowly, when Harry gestured towards her. He nodded in agreement. It won't, but the elevation of family magics will help a lot of the pure blood and noble houses, at least in the short term, and that should stay many hands that might otherwise wish to pull the whole thing down. And the light anti-traditionalists will accept this as the price for real advancement for Muggleborns and non-nobles, especially now that we've stripped my father of much of his support. The light side of the light has taken a lot of hits lately. Some of the more traditionalists have more sway, even if they haven't outright defected to us yet. They'll lose that though if you plan on outright annexing. They'll lose that though if you plan on outright annexing a third of them. Daphne added. Harry nodded again, though now his grin was feral. By then, it'll be too late to do much about it. Now, the play within the play. How this concerns us. He waved his wand and the blackboard flipped over, now showing a familiar map of Garcet Island and its environs. Obviously, we have already been making roots among many Muggleborn families. We will steal the cream of the crop into the direct protection, and the cream of that crop, vassalages, before anyone else truly appreciates we've jumped the wand. The shoe, the windmill, and the box are more in our control now than the shoe, the windmill, and the box are more in control now than anyone in the country truly understands, and I expect we'll manage 2 wands per year for every year going forward. And back maybe the last decade from each of them. And back maybe the last decade from each of them. And I expect we'll manage 2 wands per year for every year going forward. And back maybe the last 2 decades from each of them. Oh, I see what he's saying. Okay, I see what he's saying. Yeah. He's saying we're going to manage 2 wands per year going forward, and we're going to grab also 2 wands per year from the graduating classes from the last decade. Gotcha. Wands that have no familial ties or connections to any noble houses, Luna added in a dreamy whisper. And that was always the rub, Harry admitted. We need wands without any dual loyalties to House Slytherin, and vassalages on that scale is like using a magical anvil to catch a Plimpy. Not sure how to pronounce that. So assuming on average that 4 of 5 Muggle-born Hogwarts graduates are both a good fit and can be snagged by us, maybe lowering to 3 of 5 when everyone else catches on, we should be able to catch up to the more networked noble families by the time we graduate Hogwarts in terms of sworn wands and family loyalties. There'll only be one generation of wands though, and young at that. My father, and others, have connections that run 4 or even 5 extant generations, and dozens beyond that. Harry nodded solemnly. But it's a start, and we will aggressively recruit from other magical non-nobles as well as increasing our connections to the other houses. We are seeking to rule from the top of the nation, not to succeed from it. Daphne returned his nod. My characters do like nodding to one another, don't they? It's true. I've noticed that with my own writing as well. The other girls followed, though in Ginny's case it was clearly more a case of simply following along. Anyway, point 2. The island itself. Harry waved his wand, and the upper northeast quadrant of the main island, as well as the smaller island just off the coast, lit up an emerald green. The hill around on which Slytherin Hall rests, as well as the parcel belonging to House Granger, will be, in perpetuity, our own personal space. The Grangers, unique among the vassals, are family. Hermione's heart felt like it might explode. And so naturally, this part of the island is entirely our Demonese? Demesne. I've never encountered that word before. Hang on, I just need to look this up. It sounds like an old-fashioned way of saying domain.
Domain.
Oh, it's just said domain.
Domain.
Oh, okay, so it's just a really, really weird way of spelling domain. But it's actually pronounced domain. Interesting. Very interesting. I wonder what the etymology of the word is. It refers to an estate, land, or territory owned or controlled by someone. Historically, it described land directly retained by a feudal lord for his own use, rather than leased to tenants. Broadly, it can refer to a realm or a personal sphere of authority. Fascinating. Fascinating. I've never come across that word before. Yeah. He turned to Daphne. My lady, this will be yours to rule. Daphne let out a very un-Daphne squeak of equal parts surprise and pleasure. Girls are doing an awful lot of squeaking and blushing in this scene, I'll say that for one thing. Harry prodded his wand again. And this peninsula, a circle of land connected to the rest of the island only by a narrow strait and formed one side of the island's natural bay, became silver. All occupancy shields failed. I know, right? Slytherin masks destroyed. This will be Milburn's Square, taking its name from the bay. The most northern all-wizard town in Britain. Oh, shit, we're building a town. Hang on. Harry nodded his head. The peninsula, a circle of land connected to the rest of the island only by a narrow strait, and formed one side of the island's natural bay. This will be Milburn's Square, taking its name from the bay. The most northern all-wizard town in Britain. It will have enough room for 500 souls. Does that island have enough room for a town of 500 people? Sorry, I know which peninsula it's talking about. I mean, if you cramp them all, maybe. I'd have to check a map of Garcey Island. Garcey Island is not a large island. It is quite a small island. But towns can be quite compact in terms of the number of people that you get per square meter. This will be Milburn Square, taking its name from the bay. The most northern all-wizard town in Britain. It will have enough room for 500 souls at full capacity, as well as room for a magical high street, although we'll go slowly there so as to not offend any of the families already doing business at Hogsmeade or any of the enclaves. Yes, Alex. Milburn Square? Really? She looked around, the other girls looking at her rather nonplussed. I mean, it's not bad, I suppose, she said, sounding a little put out rather than completely gobsmacked. But it's such a waste. Harry's Cove, Port Slytherin, Castle Salazar. How often do you get to name a whole city after yourself? Ah, yes, Alex going for the important part of this discussion. I'm sitting here thinking about logistics and population density, and Alex is just like, but bro, you could have named it after yourself. Yeah, Garcey Island is quite small. Yeah. Still, you never know. I mean, you know, it's wizards do have space enhancing and shrinking and expanding magic. So, and you just have to look at the Hogwarts Express and a number of other locations that have been mentioned or described at various points in the in Dodging Prisoners, Stealing Witches. So even with the size of the island, it might not be completely impossible. Although I would have to, you know, I'd have to do a good check of the island. You'd have to power all the wards though, and all that magic would have to come from somewhere. It could come from the rest of the island if you like turned it into a freaking jungle of magical plants. You see, when you world build out stuff like this, you have to be very careful to ask the question, why hasn't anyone else done this? And so if you ask yourself the question, well, why don't we have like a town that is basically hidden inside of a house, for example? The question has to be asked, well, why doesn't everybody do this? You know, why is there a real estate shortage in other enclaves if you can just constantly shrink down the enclaves? And part of the way that I have addressed problems like that in Dodging Prisoners, Stealing Witches is through the family magic system and the way that certain spells and magical effects can only be actualized by combining certain family magics. And so you can only get certain effects when, you know, family A and family B have a son and a daughter who marry to each other, and that only happens like every 200 or 300 years or something like that, right? That's a large part of how I manage that kind of stuff in Dodging Prisoners, Stealing Witches, but it doesn't mean that it's not impossible from an innovation space. But it's an interesting idea. Hang on, here we go. Let's continue. How often do you get to name a whole city after yourself? Harry shook his head. Well, for one, city is a long way off from what it is. It's going to house our vassals. All except the Grangers, obviously, but every resident of the city will be subject in all senses of the word. To the Slytherin court. But that's all the more reason to give it a really grand name. It was Daphne, not Harry, who answered. No, it's the opposite. It's precisely because it will be a fortress of Lord Slytherin, hiding in plain sight as a town totally loyal to him, that it needs to sound harmless to the rest of magical Britain. Daphne paused. It is a fortress, isn't it, my lord? Harry nodded. The space for this town is not large. The peninsula is only a few hundred... There we go. The peninsula is only a few hundred metres across in any direction. Liberal use of expansion charms will be needed to make the requisite number of houses and make them comparable living standards to Hogsmeade. There we go. I'm glad... You've done the thinking on this one, lads. This is good stuff. This is good shit. But here, we will have a fortress. Sorry, liberal use of expansion charms will be needed to make the requisite number of houses and make them comparable living standards to Hogsmeade. But here, we will have a fortress, a sanctuary, that those loyal to me, to us, will be able to come from the war. Sorry, will be able to come when the war breaks out in full. 500 people in total, though. Say that's 100 families. That's a lot of vassals, Hermione said out loud, voice going quiet as she did the arithmetic. Daphne let out a slight cough. Hermione turned to face her. Daphne looked a bit embarrassed. That was the word. That wasn't a look she often thought of with the witch she considered her other best friend. Our lord will have many vassals, of course, but it could also be that while we 5 are a closed circle, I think that's meant to be, even with social respectability concerns aside, nice, it may well be that there are other witches who may reside here, less in sight of the public eye and imagination, who our lord might wish to keep within proximity to the manor, and whose children might be of interest to House Slytherin. Daphne trailed off. Silence settled. The outer harem, Luna offered by way of explanation that nobody had particularly asked for. Luna turned to Alex. You've been doing a good job there too, not only giving our lord a concrete backbone for his political ideology, but Cresswell and the Carrow twins? Good work, Alex. Luna beamed. Harry tapped his wand with needless, strong force against the blackboard. The remainder of the island, shaped roughly like a hand and wrist holding the Slytherin grounds ball, turned red. The remainder of the island, shaped roughly like a hand and wrist holding the Slytherin grounds ball. I think I understand what you mean. Turned red. And this space between ourselves and our vassals will serve both geographically and symbolically as a middle ground. The groves and gardens will make up much of this space to maintain the wards. Like I said, Vlad, you've done a lot of thinking on this one. Well done. But will be accessible to the public. We'll also have a common broomfield and Lichfield as amenities for the village. And Luna's menagerie will be open to the public on select days, and to make good with the mainland wizards and witches. Any questions? Harry asked. Nobody lifted a wand. Right, so that'll be that then. Fortress Island. Thread the needle of traditionalism and national unity with a dash of carefully controlled meritocracy. And that's that. Is that all, my lord? Daphne asked, sounding like she didn't quite believe it. Nor did Hermione. Yes, fleshing out their overall public strategy and learning how Harry fully intended to use their home, and the special place House Granger had among it, was nice, but it wasn't totally the sort of thing that felt worthy of being their first ever council at Slytherin Hall. Not in the least, Harry said cheerfully, and gestured to Ginny. Our future Lady Potter asked what we might do with regards to one William Weasley, and I admit it is not an easy question to answer. At the end of the day, Harry ignored Ginny's growing pout. Bill is your brother, and after seeing how the animosity has turned out between me and mine, I'm loath to instigate something there. Furthermore, I do not want to cause your mother or father any further grief. If anything, I'm going out of my way to bring Percy to the Grey as painlessly as possible. But that's a story for another time. But... Ginny pleaded. But... Harry agreed. Your hearing actually provided the missing pieces. There's a lot of memories in here that I haven't really paid much attention to for a variety of reasons, not least of which is to keep myself going stark raving mad, reliving decades. But seeing our esteemed Monsieur Delacour triggered a memory. They had not been particularly pleasant memories from Voldemort's point of view, but Harry had put enough of them together to paint a fairly decent picture of events in hindsight. For all his support of one Karl Marx and how this applies to the wizarding proletariat, Bill Weasley is not too far off from falling head over heels for one of the Beauxbatons champion, the niece of Monsieur Delacour, who is, please pardon the phrase, her words not mine, now entering a period of teenage revolt and looking to slum it. We're talking about Fleur, hang on. Yeah, now entering a period of teenage revolt and looking to slum it. But not quite so much that she would settle for less than the heir of a pure-blood British house. My brother is going to marry a French woman, Ginny gasped, sounding equal parts horrified and thrilled. The nerve of him, after all that about how I should marry a muggle. Oh no, Harry chuckled. A French vila? Silence fell around the room. My lord, is it... You know, I have not questioned you before, and I'm not in the habit of doing so now, but this vila, to be taken unknowingly from Bill and added... Is it... You know, I have not questioned you before, and I am not in the habit of doing so now, but this vila, to be taken unknowingly from Bill and added to your official harem? Daphne sounded like she were walking a tightrope. Harry laughed, pushing out his hands in a motion of denial. Goodness no, I couldn't give a toss about Fleur Delacour, which is why, in fact, she matches up potentially to solve another one of our problems quite nicely. Ladies, your mission for the next week until my portkey for Paris is this. How do you propose we sell Monsieur Delacour, the younger, into signing away his temporary grudge, Bohemian, permanently quarter villa teenage daughter into a marriage contract with Lord Slughorn? Nice. Suddenly, Hermione considered having to spend the rest of her life entertaining monthly dinners with the Carrow twins didn't seem so bad. Finn, for now. Nice. I liked it, Vlad. You did a lot of good work on that. Like a lot. I'm really impressed by how you wrote that. Everything, in fact, the prose. A lot of the dodging prison and stealing witches isms that were included in that, there are a lot of them. And the general sort of tightness and logic of the world building and the plotting and the brainstorming and everything. It's very tight. It's very good. Good stuff, yeah. I particularly like the fact that, like, a couple of things that I notice here. The fact that they refer to people as wands. Like, that's a dodging prison and stealing witches thing. Obviously, all of the stuff to do with Garcey Island. Yeah, it's really good stuff. Well done. Yeah, if there is a part 2, I look forward to it. And now I've got to, yeah, as soon as. Yeah, I need to speed up my moving everything over to Novel Crafter so that I can finish up the current book. I want to get the current book finished before the end of the year. And published. In my mind, because I've got a lot of plot threads. Obviously, there are lots and lots of small plot threads, obviously, but we've got major plot threads in my head, and I'm like, okay, so we need to do that, we need to do that, we need to do that. This is exactly why, though, I need to move everything over to Novel Crafter, because it's so much easier to keep everything in line and also brainstorm. I'm not going to lie, the card, oh, hang on, I probably shouldn't talk about that with people who are not currently up to speed with the story. Okay, yeah, I was about to go into like discussion about what's currently going on in the story, but I'll leave that aside, because not everybody who's on this call may be fully caught up with both the public stuff and the Patreon stuff. So yeah. Anyway, that was very cool. We haven't got anything done with the with Hogwarts Legacy, but maybe we'll leave it. I want to actually get down with continuing something that I'm doing. Oh, sorry, because currently, just so people know, right now, as in like before I started up the stream, and what I'm going to go back to once I finish up the stream, is I'm doing a couple things. I'm currently outlining a whole bunch of my original novels. Basically, I'm going through the process of taking the prose that I've written and the ideas that I've got written out in my head for a whole bunch of the original stories that I'm working on right now, and I'm crafting full outlines for them with the help of the novel crafting platform. But I'm also working on the art, and I am slowly trying to move away from the AI generated art, as you know. And what I'm currently doing, so right at this very moment, what I've done is I used the AI, because I've worked on drawing a fair bit, and it's okay, it's going, but I definitely need to improve my drawing a lot. But I also want to improve my rendering and my coloring practice. The problem I have with that is that I feel very uninspired to practice my painting when I don't have a good drawing to work from. And my drawing is currently not a good enough quality such that I consider my own drawing to be good enough, which is just a bit annoying for me. So what I did was I worked with the AI to create a line drawing, and I'm currently blocking in grayscale values on the line drawing, and figuring out how I'm going to do do rendering. And I'm currently doing that for one of my original novels. And I think I might start sharing progress of that with the Discord, because why not? Could be fun. Yeah, could be fun. Yeah, but I want to get to that, and part of me is like, hang on, can we get? I need to. I think I want to. Okay, so that's a side quest. This is Professor Sharp's assignment. So we need to acquire and use a focus potion, and acquire Maxima and Endurance potions and use them simultaneously. Right, this was what we needed the gold for. Right, let's go and grab those potions and let's go and grab these potions, and then we'll finish this up for today. And then I'm going to get back to my art. And it's not going to let us... Oh, it will let us. Cool. Hang on. I'm reading the Discord. When I said I was going to have the book finished by the end of this year, I didn't mean I was going to get a full new book finished. I meant I'm going to finish the current book. That's what I meant. So people spamming that I'm going to get 200,000 words done by the end of this year for Dodging Prison and Stealing Witches. I mean, calm.
You're back. Nice to see you again.
I wasn't doing 200,000 words for dodging prison and stealing witches even in like the first 2 years. Jesus Christ. We're already in June. Hang on.
Thanks for stopping by. Hope to see you again.
Oh, hang on, what's this?
Protego. Revelio.
Cool. Jesus Christ, lads. That is something I think the community does not need. Well. Sorry, my mind is in the gutter. I automatically assumed that this was going to be an erotica marque. I don't know why I assumed that. Probably because it's meant to be a punishment. I need to find the potion shop. Yeah, it sent me in there, but that's not the potion shop. That's the Quidditch shop. Okay. Hang on a minute. Map. Potion shop. There.
Thank you again for delivering those potions to Madame Wow. Saved me a lot of time and trouble.
In here. Oh, there we go. Yep, chip. There we go, thank you.
Come on in. Healing potions are a speciality here. Should you any?
Okay, so we need a focus potion. Hang on, let's just make sure we don't actually have this first.
I hope to see you again. Farewell.
Inventory. Quest items, notes, resources. Is this... Maybe not there. Gear, maybe? No, gear is gear. Huh.
A wise decision. Thank you.
Okay, so we've got a focus potion. Now, how do we use it?
I hope to see you again. Farewell for now.
Is it T? No, those are our spells.
Revelio.
Revelio. Tab. Oh, here we go. Focus potion. Release tab to equip. Boom! We drank a focus potion. Acquire Maxima and Endurus potions and use them at the same time. Okay. So, Maxima. Endurus.
A wise decision. Thank you. I hope to see you again.
Okay.
Farewell for now.
Now, how Maxima potion. Endurance potion. How exactly do you use these at the same time? You've only got one button. Do you have to like use it and then switch and then very quickly use the other one? That doesn't seem likely. So use this, then use this. It says use. It doesn't say use one after the other. It says use them at the same time. I don't know how you do that.
Thank you again for delivering those potions to Madame Lowing. Saved me a lot of time and trouble.
I mean, I've got 2 of them. So if this... But I've only got 1 Maxima potion.
Excellent.
Done! It worked. Okay, attend potions class during the day. Okay, so that was basically pre-potting. We have learned how to pre-pot. How do we broom?
Potato.
Is it C? Is it X? Is it V? No. Is it B? G? T? No. R?
Rebellion.
No. E? I know that something here. I know that somewhere here there's a mount button. Am I still in Hogsmeade? I think I'm still in Hogsmeade. Let me in! Oh, there we go. Okay, now I can fly.
Potato.
Now how do I fly?
Revelio. Reparo.
I'm literally hitting every single button. Ugh. Okay. I need to do this more often than once every month. Maybe there's a key binding thing somewhere. Key binding? No idea. Let's save the game. Whatever. We run. I'm going to eat my words when I turn into a flower slug shipper. Flower slug was not a name we needed. On the other hand, this is dodging prisoners, stealing witches, so I'm sure the couple could find a way to make it work.
Who Who lived here, I wonder?
Lots of people, I think. You. Dodging witches and stealing prisoners. Hey, Rico. Good to have you with us. On the tail end of the stream, but it's good to have you with us. You missed the reading of a legendary omake. I can come up with plenty of wacky ideas. We'll describe them as wacky ideas. By myself. Not that I don't appreciate the help, of course. And it's all good stuff. It stimulates the creative mind. And a large part of what is needed to continue writing is, stimulating the creative mind. That's one of the reasons why the AI is so useful, because I can get on-demand stimulation, right? I can just go to the AI and say, tell me about this scene, and then you just put in the last 5 scenes, and it'll just tell you as though using some kind of role play or something, and it just stimulates the brain to get into the right kind of frame of mind for writing. It's very useful. Wacky mind makes wacky ideas. Certainly does. I think we're going to stop this just before we get to the potions, and then next week when we do our stream, we will pick up immediately with a story mission. I think that's a good idea. Unless, of course, somebody has written a god tier 2,000 word omake in the meantime, in which case we might distract ourselves with that. Oh crap, bollocks. Didn't mean to do that. Oh well, okay, well we'll watch this scene, I guess. It's a potion! Bribing our students. It's a long tradition at Hogwarts. No, that was it. Excellent. Let's save and quit. We gained a whole percentage point. Nice. Okay. We're going to finish it up there. I am going to finish this, and I'm going to do a little bit of art. I might also go for a walk. And another thing I really like about the novel crafter is the fact that I can take it with me on my phone. And because I've got phone access anywhere, internet access everywhere, I can just be literally anywhere and just be writing my stuff, or brainstorming my stuff, or outlining my stuff on my phone. It's very nice. Don't even need a full computer setup. Okay, well, we'll see you all next week. And in the meantime, if you are a reader, please keep reading. And if you are a writer, please keep writing. Especially you. Especially you, Vlads. See you next time. Have a good one. Oh shit, I didn't... Hang on. I didn't spot it when you did it, Svu, but thank you very much for the resub. And also for the shout-out. Yes, it does work. Although I didn't see it until just now when I looked around and looked up at my thing up there. Thank you very much, dude. I will see you all next week. Have a good one.